Can you imagine a hidden barrier that shapes our world, yet almost no one sees it? It's not a secret code or a complex machine. It's an invisible wall standing between boys and girls, winding through our schools, our computer labs, and right into the most powerful boardrooms of Silicon Valley. In a world where technology moves faster than ever, and new jobs pop up that demand skills in science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM, there's a surprising truth. At the very control panel of tomorrow, where all the big decisions are made, there are hardly any women. Why do computer science classes often look like a boys' club? Why do equally smart girls either never step into these subjects or leave them behind way too soon? Who told them, even without saying a word, that this wasn't their place? And what if I told you that a child genius from East London, who at 11 passed an A-level in computer science and by 20 had a master's degree from Oxford, asked that exact question? Why are there so few girls at this table? Today, we're diving into the incredible story of Anne-Marie Imafidon. She's a woman who didn't just question old ideas about who belongs in tech, but actually started changing how we raise our kids. She didn't just create a program called Stemettes to teach girls how to code. She built a whole movement that teaches them to be brave, to not be afraid of making mistakes, and to feel completely fine even if they're the only girl in the room. So, how did this human calculator, who grew up in a family that cheered her on every step of the way, decide that every single girl deserved the same chance? And how did simple pizza-filled chats turn out to be more powerful than huge, expensive advertising campaigns? Let's rewind and find out. To really understand what made Anne-Marie tick, we have to go back to where it all began. Her childhood. She was born in 1990 and grew up in a place called Walthamstow in East London. Her family came from Nigeria, and in their home, learning wasn't just a good idea. It was practically like a religion. Her dad, Chris Imafidon, was super passionate about science and really encouraged all his kids to get into it. And boy, did it work. The family became famous for being a family of prodigies. Anne-Marie's younger brothers and sisters also passed big exams really early and went off to university. It was a truly special place, full of support, that helped her amazing talents truly shine. Even when she was just in primary school, before most kids even think about high school, she was already passing several GCSEs. These are big exams that most students don't take until they're 16. Then, at the tender age of 11, when most kids are still busy playing hide-and-seek or trying to master video games, Anne-Marie did something absolutely mind-blowing. She became the youngest girl in the entire UK to pass an A-level in computer science. Think about that for a second. An 11-year-old with knowledge that most high school graduates only just get. She was a child whose brain worked on a different level. By 17, she got into Keble College at Oxford, one of the most famous universities in the world, to study both math and computer science. And by the time she was just 20, she had her master's degree. It was a dizzying academic ride, the kind most of us only ever dream about. After finishing up at Oxford, Anne-Marie didn't just sit still. She jumped straight into the working world, landing jobs at some of the biggest financial and tech companies on the planet. We're talking places like Goldman Sachs, Hewlett-Packard, and Deutsche Bank. She was in technical roles, crunching complex data, and working with cutting-edge systems. She was brilliant, she was capable, she was at the forefront of innovation. But everywhere she went, she kept bumping into the same uncomfortable truth. At every meeting, every team lunch, every time big decisions were being made around a table, it was almost always men. She saw it at Oxford too. In her course, there were only 3 women out of 70 students. She was incredibly smart. She was succeeding, but she was an exception. Her personal success, while amazing, wasn't what most girls experienced. And this fact, this glaring imbalance, really started to bother her. It didn't sit right. The moment of absolute clarity, the aha moment that changed everything for Anne-Marie, arrived in 2012. She went to this huge event called the Grace Hopper Celebration of Women in Computing. It's the biggest conference for women in the IT world, and she saw thousands of attendees, heard incredible speeches from superstar women in technology. It was electrifying, inspiring, a real moment of triumph. But then it hit her. This wonderful, bustling world of women in tech was like an isolated bubble. It wasn't the everyday reality, especially not back in Europe. It was a shining exception, not the rule. Around the same time, she went to a workshop called Spotlight on STEM, and there she learned some statistics that were truly shocking. She discovered that women are systematically underrepresented in STEM fields. Schoolgirls, in particular, often lose interest in math and science by the time they're 14. And it wasn't because they weren't smart enough or didn't have the ability. It was because implicitly or explicitly they were being told that these subjects were not for them. Society, teachers, even parents, sometimes without even realizing it, were discouraging girls from choosing these unfeminine paths. These two big insights crashed together in her mind. First, there was her own unique story. A child prodigy, blessed with a super supportive family and access to the best education possible. And then, there were the thousands and thousands of other girls who didn't have a dad passionately pushing them towards science, or a clear path to places like Oxford. She suddenly understood that her success wasn't just about her amazing talent. It was also a rare and powerful combination of luck and endless support. And that, she realized, was just plain unfair. The idea that would change so many lives simply clicked into place. She thought, if I manage to succeed thanks to luck and all that support, then we need to make sure that for others, this isn't some rare, lucky break, but a regular, clear path they can follow. And just like that, Stemettes was born. In 2013, Anne-Marie officially launched Stemettes. It's what you call a social enterprise, meaning it's a business that aims to solve a social problem, not just make money. And its goal was bold, even a little audacious, to inspire the next generation of girls and non-binary young people to go for careers in STEM by showing them women who were already doing amazing things in these fields. Her first steps were incredibly simple, but so effective. She started organizing free events, always making sure there was plenty of food. These events included panel discussions, where women in tech shared their stories, hackathons where girls could build cool things, and hands-on workshops. She wanted the vibe to be free fun and food-filled. She invited women from big companies like Deutsche Bank, Salesforce, and Microsoft to come and talk about their jobs, their challenges, and their triumphs. The target audience was young people aged 5 to 22. Why that age range? Because that's exactly when girls often start to lose interest in STEM. The big idea at the heart of Stemettes was this. Girls didn't just need training or lessons. They needed an environment where being into STEM was completely normal, not something unusual. A place where you weren't the only girl in the class, but part of a supportive, thriving community. Anne-Marie started small, hosting early events in partnership with universities and companies. Budgets were tiny, and so much was done by volunteers. They spread the word through schools, social media, and just plain old talking to people. Her own incredible story became a powerful light, showing what was truly possible. Stemettes stood out from other traditional STEM programs in four super important ways. First, they offered relatable role models. Instead of just learning abstract code or complicated formulas, girls got to hear real, living stories from female engineers, scientists, and data specialists. These women looked and talked like your older sister, not some distant, unapproachable expert. This made it clear to the girls that it was absolutely possible to be yourself and still thrive in STEM. Second, they focused on working at intersections, promoting STEAM. That's STEM with an A for arts added in. The idea was that creativity and technology aren't separate things. They're actually deeply connected. This helped to smash old stereotypes that sciences were dry or boring. Art, design, and innovation go hand in hand with science and tech. Third, they made sure it was all about enjoyment and building a community. Remember the free events with food, music, and interactive activities. These were carefully designed to completely change STEM's image from something boring and isolating to something fun and social. Girls weren't just learning, they were having a blast, making new friends, and building a supportive network. And fourth, Stemettes embraced intersectionality. This means they consciously worked with girls from all sorts of backgrounds, different ethnic groups, social situations, and economic levels, as well as non-binary young people. Anne-Marie understood deeply that the gender gap in STEM wasn't just about being a girl. It was often made even harder by barriers related to race and social class. Everyone deserved a chance. Over the last 10 years, Stemettes has achieved some truly remarkable results. They've held hundreds of events all across the UK, Ireland, and even in other parts of Europe, reaching an estimated 50,000 to 60,000 young people. And here's a powerful statistic. According to their own data, a whopping 95% of participants reported an increased interest in STEM after attending just one of their events. These aren't just numbers on a page. They represent real lives changed, real destinies rerouted towards brighter futures. Some of their key initiatives are truly groundbreaking. There's the Outbox Incubator, which was the world's first tech incubator specifically for teenage girls. It offered accommodation, mentorship, and even small grants for their startup ideas. Imagine being a teenager, living with other ambitious girls, and getting help to turn your tech idea into a real product. They also launched the Stemettes app and a ton of online resources, making their work accessible to even more people beyond in-person events. Plus, their mentorship programs, partnered with major corporations, connected girls directly with female professionals in STEM for regular guidance and advice. Anne-Marie didn't just create Stemettes and then step back. She remained the CEO, or head Stemette, and received some very well-deserved recognition along the way. In 2017, she was awarded an MBE, which is a really prestigious honor in the UK, for her amazing contributions to youth work and STEM. Then, in 2022, she became the president of the British Science Association. These weren't just personal achievements for her. They were powerful signals to the world. They showed that STEM is changing, and women are not just participating, but playing a pivotal, leading role. Now, running a social initiative like Stemettes, as wonderful as it is, doesn't mean it's all smooth sailing. Anne-Marie and her team faced real obstacles. Fundraising, for one, was a constant uphill battle. Anne-Marie has openly talked about how organizations led by women often struggle more to secure funding. She found that donors and big corporations too often saw diversity projects as something nice to have, rather than a crucial, strategic part of their future. She continually had to explain, again and again, that the gender gap in STEM wasn't just a social fairness issue. It was a deeply economic one, affecting how fast our societies and economies could grow. There was also what you might call the mascot stereotype. As a vibrant, successful female speaker, she could easily be reduced to just a symbol of diversity, rather than being recognized as the serious technologist and brilliant strategist she truly is. And of course, there was the risk of burnout. Imagine being a public figure, an operational leader, and a fundraiser all rolled into one. She's often spoken about how important it was to learn to delegate and build a strong team around her, instead of trying to carry the whole huge burden by herself. Today, Stemettes isn't just surviving, it's thriving. It operates as a powerful social enterprise across the UK, Ireland, and various parts of Europe. It works hand in hand with schools and huge corporations, offering a robust lineup of events: panel discussions, hackathons, academies, mentorship programs, and a wealth of online resources. This isn't just a family project anymore. It's a mission-driven organization with a strong team and a vast network of partners. The cultural impact of Anne-Marie's work is truly immense. First, she's not just teaching skills, she's actively creating a pipeline of future founders. Many of the girls she's mentored go on to pursue STEM degrees, build careers in tech, and even start their own companies. This isn't just one founder's story anymore. It's like a factory for future female leaders and innovators. Second, she's fundamentally changing the whole idea of who has the right to learn math and code. A British Nigerian woman, a child prodigy, the president of a national science association, and the head of a massive STEM movement. Her very presence sends a powerful message. It's a signal of hope and possibility to girls from migrant families, working-class backgrounds, and any girl who might have felt like an outsider in the world of tech. Third, Anne-Marie Imafidon demonstrates that social enterprise is an incredibly powerful form of entrepreneurship. She isn't focused on building a unicorn company worth billions in the traditional sense. Instead, she's building an organization that is transforming the very labor market, dismantling the gender imbalance in one of the most critical and fast-moving industries of our century. Anne-Marie Imafidon has shown us all that the most powerful tool isn't always the cleanest code or the smartest algorithm. Sometimes it's a clear conscience, a powerful vision, and the bravery to act. She built a bridge to the future for thousands of girls who previously felt unseen and unheard. She taught them not just how to code, but how to be brave, how to step into a room where they might be the only girl, and how to make their voices heard. And that, perhaps, is the most important invention of the 21st century. If you want to discover more inspiring stories about people changing the world, make sure to check out our next video.